All right, guys, we are going to do this example that's going to be a little bit different than what we have done in the past. So I want you to go ahead and hit pause, and I want you to try to draw this triangle without me showing you how to do it. Okay, so since you have paused, now let's have a look. So here is my triangle. Let me see if I can get this to go. There's my triangle. We are given that the angle C is my right angle, so I know I have a right angle right there. And I'm going to make that angle C. Here, let me move my... Maybe I can put myself up here. There we go. So I have angle C right there. Then I know, since I know that that's angle C, I'm going to know that that's going to be side C, right? And since I know that that's side C, now I'm just going to decide where my angle A is going to go. I'm going to choose right there. If I chose the top, it'd be just correct, just as correct. But since I know that that is angle A, I know that that has to be my side length A, which is a given. Then I know that I have angle B, and that's also a given. So I know that that's 28 degrees, and since I know that that's 28 degrees, and that's angle B, then I know that that has to be side length B. So now I have my triangle all set up. So I have my triangle set up, I can decide what I'm solving for. Well, now I've got to solve for, I've got an angle B, I've got an adjacent side, and over here, if I were to solve for this letter B, then that would be my opposite side. So I have an opposite and adjacent. Well, that's tangent, so I'm going to use tangent. So I'm going to plug in the things that I know, and since I know those things, I'm going to plug that in, and then I need to multiply by 25.3 on both sides to get it out of the denominator. So then that's what I get, and when I plug that in my calculator, I get that. I went ahead and rounded to the nearest tens place just because my answer, the givens are in that same, so I just matched it. Now I'm going to find that missing angle A. I could find the missing side length also, but I'm going to find the missing angle A for no other reason than I just want to. Alright, so now I know what B is. So now I'm going to find that, and that's 90 minus the angle B is going to be equal to A. So I plug in the things I know, and I get 62 degrees. So now I know that. Because remember, when we solve for a triangle, we're solving for all the parts. Now I'm going to solve for that hypotenuse. But I still want to use just the given information. So now I'm going to use angle B. And if I'm using angle B, and I'm looking at angle B, and I have an adjacent side over a hypotenuse, that's cosine. So I'm going to use cosine. So then I plug in the parts I know. Now this is the part that's different than what we did before. My unknown was in the numerator, so I knew what to do to get rid of it. Now my unknown is in the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by C on both sides to get it out of the denominator. And now I need to divide, because I want my C by itself, I need to divide by cosine 28 of both sides. So I end up with C is equal to 25.3 over cosine of 28. When I plug that into my calculator, I get 28.7. So then I've got that C equals 28.7 centimeters. Now my entire triangle is solved. I know all the different missing pieces, and I've got it in. Okay. So here I would like you to get this in your notes. I'm going to give you another picture on Monday that's a little bit clearer, but I wanted to get this to you. So what I would say is angle of elevation right here, angle of depression right here. It's your sight line is what you're talking about. So if you're looking, you're going to be looking up for elevation, but you also could be looking downwards. So it's like your sight line. That's what we're kind of thinking. So elevation, depression. So that's what I need you to go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so then this is one of those things. This is what I was just talking about. This is how we're going to solve our word problems. Our step one, we're going to draw a sketch and we're going to label all of our givens. This is actually a good step one for any kind of solving. Then we're going to there we go. Then we're going to use that sketch to use the equations, create equations to solve. And then we're going to solve and make sure our answers make sense in context. So here's an example of a word problem that we would use for progressing. I'm giving you a picture. So when Shelley stands 123 feet from the base of the flagpole, the angle of elevation to the top of the flagpole, so her sight line up, is 26.67 degrees. If her eyes are 5.3 feet above the ground, we need to find the height of the flagpole. Okay, so now we have our picture. We're looking at this triangle right here. So this is a parallel line right here to the ground. It's parallel. So then what we want to do is I have this angle and I have the adjacent side and I'm looking for the opposite side. So I have an adjacent and an opposite. What am I going to use? I'm going to use tangent again. And I'm going to solve it by multiplying by 123 on both sides. And then I end up with about 61.8 feet. Now, that's our answer to what A is. But is A what we are looking for? No, we're trying to find the height of the flagpole, and we still have this 5.3 feet that we have to take into consideration. So here's a really good example where my answer doesn't make sense in the context of the question. I need to do some more work. So when I do more work, I need to add the 61.8 feet to the 5.3 feet to get a 67.1 feet. And that's how tall my flagpole is. So that's how you're going to figure that out. Now here's a really good example of meeting. I want you to go ahead and hit pause, and I would like you to try to figure out the picture to this. Because in meeting, I'm not going to give you a picture. I want you to draw the picture. So go ahead and hit pause. Okay, so you went ahead and hit pause. You drew your picture. Here is my picture. So I have this picture of the building, because the building is 34.09 meters, and the shadow from the building to the shadow is 37.62 meters long. And I'm looking for this angle B over here because it says the angle of elevation to the sun. So I'm looking up to the sun, and the sight line is from the ground. So I'm going to use tangent because I have an opposite side and an adjacent side again. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But remember, when we're solving for an angle, when I have just side lengths and I need an angle, that's when I'm going to use that inverse. So I'm going to use the inverse of tangent. I'm going to plug that in my calculator, and I'm going to get about 42.18 degrees. Now that I have that, I now know that the angle of elevation is about 42.18 degrees. So go ahead and make sure you get this in your notes. We're going to cover some more on Monday, and I will talk to you all later. I hope you have a great weekend. Happy Friday!